What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Get ready for the World Series and be subscribed to the best baseball community on YouTube. I'm going to have tons of interviews this offseason, and you're not going to want to miss them. So hit subscribe. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Nestor Cortez, who went 2 innings and had 2 Ks, did give up 3 runs, and wasn't quite himself due to a groin injury. Due to that injury, his fastball dropped to the upper 80s, but he did have these nasty cutters that he got his Ks on. Nestor dueled against Lance McCullers, who had 6 strikeouts in 5 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. McCullers relied on his nasty sinker, his wicked sliders, and he threw those sliders as often as he threw his sinker. He got a jump back on this front door slider. Yeah, it might have been a tad off the plate, but it's pretty close. And that slider was definitely a weapon. He also got a K on this sick changeup that dove to the dirt. Here's an overlay of McCullers' changeup for a ball and slider. It's pretty much backdoor for a strike. And you can see why he would get a backwards K on that slider. It looks kind of like that changeup that ends up out of the zone, but it hits the brakes and ends up in the zone. So as a hitter, all you can do is watch. Darvish had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs on 4 hits. He had some filthy sliders and overpowering fastballs, and even got hit by a pitch from Austin Nola. Maybe he was a double agent trying to win the series for the Phillies and his brother Aaron. Darvish's best pitch of the game was this slow curveball, 67 miles an hour on this. Just a gorgeous pitch. Here's Darvish telling me how he releases his slow curveball as opposed to his regular curveball.
Okay, so the difference between the regular curveball and the Filthiest curveball would be that regular curveball, you're trying to release it sort of in front, versus the Filthiest, you have the image of releasing it on the back side.
From here.
Yeah.
To up, that way.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So it's the same. It's the same grip. You're just changing the release point on the grip. How slow can you throw it?
50, 55.
Padres starter Joe Musgrove was also dominant with his Polaroid camera, getting this photo of Soto. I may have to start a rhyming ninja channel. My most dominant starter yesterday was Zack Wheeler. Wheeler had 8 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 2 runs. He relied on his mid to upper 90s fastball, touching 99, and had this 96-mile-an-hour fastball for an absolute dart. That is a bullseye. Wheeler wasn't all about his fastball. He got this sword on this curveball to Juan Soto, and it's really tough to get Soto to take a bad swing. Here's an overlay of that dirty curveball with Wheeler's fastball, and you can see why Soto might take a bad swing. That curveball looks just like that fastball that ended up in the zone, except the curveball curves the other way and drops. Now onto my filthiest relievers. Wandy Peralta had this paint? All right, maybe that's painting outside the lines. Robert Suarez had this overpowering 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Now he also gave up an epic home run to Bryce Harper with a legendary call by Joe Davis.
Left center field, back it goes! Harper, the swing of his life!
And I thought that swing of a lifetime reference was really good, especially since I've been following Bryce Harper since he was 13. After I read this article in the New York Times on travel ball, the article was really trying to imply that these kids and families were wasting their time. Little did they know the legend that Bryce Harper would ultimately become. So yeah, it was a swing of a lifetime.
Man, I just did that.
Sir Anthony Dominguez had this overpowering 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Rafael Montero had this 97-mile-an-hour heat. And no Josh Donaldson that was not low. Jose Alvarado had this overpowering 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Bryan Abreu had this wicked 90-mile-an-hour slider. Clay Holmes had this sick 98-mile-an-hour sinker that ran 20 inches and had 21 inches of drop. And I overlaid his sinker with his slider so you can see just how much ground those 2 pitches cover. When he's on, that movement can be unhittable. Ryan Presley had this buzzsaw curveball with 3,256 RPMs, and he got the last out of the game, sending the Astros to the World Series.
Easy flip, ball game over, and the Houston Astros.
But my filthiest reliever from yesterday was Jonathan Loaisiga. Johnny Lasagna's sinker had some incredible movement. Look at this one at 100 miles an hour with 21 inches of run. With that drop combined with that run, you can see why he was getting swings and misses as well as broken bats. An impossible pitch to square up. And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. I know I said Nestor left the game due to a groin injury, but he might have left due to distraction. And only one of those distractions was Ted Cruz sitting behind home plate.